Good evening. Thank you so much for having me and for being here tonight as we create accessibility to a one-of-a-kind modality for trauma recovery. I remember the first time I realized therapy could be a doorway back to myself rather than simply a place to pour out pain when it overflowed. Tonight we gather because that same doorway needs to open for more people. EMDR changes lives. It saves time. It saves money, and most importantly, and the reason that you guys are here tonight is that it saves people. It gives them back their capacity to feel. This is why EMDR matters. I'd like to thank the organizers, the donors, all of you members of the community, and every clinician who continues to do this work when it's hard. Thank you for standing in the gap for people who cannot stand on their own yet. I come to you as a Black woman, an Army veteran, a therapist, and someone who's navigated trauma from both sides of the couch. My path has been complicated, beautiful, and painful. When I enlisted in the United States Army, I was 2 weeks past my 17th birthday. I was skinny, I was scared, and I was desperate to do anything bigger than I was. I wanted to know that I mattered. So I raised my little hand, I signed my oath, and I camouflaged myself through years of military service. I can still smell the metallic scent of the barracks, still feel the weight of my uniform clinging to my skin in the heat. The sound of cadence was supposed to mean unity, and sometimes it just drowned out my heartbeat. I learned discipline, resilience, and pride, and I learned how easily the body can be a container for silence. When trauma happens in uniform, it's not just the body that's injured, it's the identity. Who was I without my combat boots? While I'm proud of my military achievements, there were moments, little fragments of memory that lurked in my brain for decades. They were atomic, ready to detonate at any trigger. A certain tree, a license plate, the feel of my husband's beard as he tried to give me a hug. Anything, and I was gone. Those memories weren't just flashbacks. It was a little time travel for me. One second I was in my living room, and the next moment somewhere else entirely, a place that smelled like metal and dust and my own fear. When I finally went to therapy, I described my experience as hearing myself scream for nearly 15 years in my head and not being able to turn it off. I couldn't turn the screaming off. Then we began EMDR. I could tell it was different. If you've ever done EMDR, you know that the body becomes an instrument. The tapping, the eye movements, they stir up things you didn't know had names. Emotions were dragged from my body faster than they had been with any other modality, and I spent $55,000 in trauma therapy before engaging with this modality. I'd leave sessions feeling like I had just run a marathon barefoot through the shards of my own past, but I was doing it with EMDR. After every raw, humbling session, the screams in my head became a little less accessible. The world got quieter for me in the best way, and the past got further and further away. Eventually, although it didn't erase the memory, when prompted, I could no longer recall that screaming trauma that stayed with me for more than 15 years. It didn't suck the air out of the room for me anymore. Something unfamiliar was happening for me. I was healing, I was breathing for the first time in 15 years. I spent years trying to be okay enough, trying to be healed enough to deserve peace. And eventually I learned that peace isn't something that we earn. It's something we go home to. That's what EMDR does. It helps the brain file what happened so it stops running today. It doesn't erase pain. It organizes it so the body and mind can finally agree that danger is behind you. Every day as a therapist, I sit with people who've been holding their breath for years, veterans, survivors, parents, queer teens. You can see it in their posture, the way their shoulders curl forward like they're still dodging the impact. They're still dodging the impact. You can hear it in the way they speak about safety as if it's hypothetical for them. EMDR allows them to take the first full breath again. It's not magic, but it feels like it sometimes. It brings people home to themselves. I believe EMDR wasn't just an oxygen mask for me, it was full-blown resuscitation. Pieces of myself that I have decided were gone, I had already grieved, are with me today because of EMDR. I believe in this modality because it gave me my life back. As a therapist, every time I see someone's eyes clear for the first time in years, I remember what it felt like the first time I finally exhaled and my faith in this gold standard modality is deepened. That's what donating to this incredible event will do for other people. Your dollars spent here matter. Your time spent here matters. Thank you so much. You are reminding wildflowers that they always deserved to bloom. We still have work to do. For many people, this kind of care remains out of reach. That's why you're here tonight. The veterans who can't take time off work to take appointments with the VA, the single mom who can't afford co-pays, the queer and trans folks who've been turned away from offices that don't understand their needs, the people living with trauma and silence because they were told somebody else has it worse. You'll be okay. At least you made it. The people are being lost every day because access to care depends on privilege instead of need. We can do better. Tonight's about closing the gap. It's about funding training for more clinicians, offering low-cost EMDR sessions, and creating programs that reach communities who've been historically left behind. Your gift tonight becomes someone's second chance tomorrow. Maybe they'll stand right here. It becomes a veteran who learns that tears aren't weakness, they're release. It becomes a parent who sleeps through the night for the first time in years. An officer who unlaces his shoes. A teenager who finally believes that life can get bigger than the pain. Healing ripples outward. When one person begins to recover, their family, their workplace, their entire community feels the impact of that healing. I've watched it happen, and so have you. I've seen couples reconnect, children start to laugh again, and people go back to school or start businesses because they finally believe they deserve a future. The investment you make tonight will echo through generations. You may never meet the person that your donation helps, but I promise you they'll feel it. So as you look around the room, and do, look around at your community of the people who care about what brought you here tonight. Hear the laughter, look at the twinkle of the candles, and feel the hum of hope that runs the energy in this room. You are all a part of something sacred tonight, helping to build a world where safety, belonging, and recovery are not luxuries, but rights. Stories like mine matter. I'm one of many, many veterans. Your story matters too. And so does the story of the next person who's going to walk into a therapy office and get EMDR because of what you did here tonight. Thank you so much for showing up, for believing in the mission, and for helping us to open more doors, one survivor at a time. Thank you.